Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are jumping right into a topic that, I think is often overlooked in language learning, but it's arguably one of the most universal social tools out there.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm talking about pets. I mean, you can stop almost anyone on the street or start a conversation with a new colleague, and talking about animals is just a guaranteed way to build a connection.
It's so true. And if you can master this topic, you've essentially unlocked the core of everyday English conversation. It forces you to use so many different skills.
Like what, exactly?
Well, you have to use the present simple for routines, you need advanced adjectives for personality, and then you get into this deep emotional vocabulary for the connection you have.
And that's our mission for this deep dive. We've gone through a stack of material on this, conversational structures, vocabulary, grammar, all related to pets. We're going to distill it all down for you.
The goal is that the next time you discuss your animals, whether they're furry, scaly, feathered, whatever, you're going to sound natural, warm, and completely confident.
This is your shortcut to fluency on a topic you will definitely use.
And we're handing you the whole toolkit, starting right at the beginning, because every single great pet conversation starts with one foundational question. Do you have any pets?
Okay, let's unpack that opening move. The trap here, and it's a big one, is just giving a one-word answer.
Right.
You could say, yes, I do, or no, I don't. But honestly, that's where the conversation just dies. It's like giving someone a handshake and immediately looking away.
Precisely. People don't ask that question for a simple yes or no. They're inviting you into a bigger story, a bigger narrative. The key is to build a bridge from that short answer to the detail that keeps things going.
So instead of just yes, you immediately jump to something like, yes, I have a dog, a golden retriever.
Exactly.
But what if you're a non-owner? You don't want to shut the conversation down. What's the key phrase we can use there?
You use the phrase right now. This is so subtle but so powerful. You say, no, I don't have any pets right now, but I'd love to have one in the future. That little addition of right now shows your situation is just temporary. It's not a firm no. It keeps the whole vibe of the conversation friendly and open.
That one little adverb just shifts the entire tone. It's such a clever tactic. So, okay, once you've said yes, you state the type of animal. We're using the simplest verb here, right? I have.
Absolutely. I mean, 99% of the time you just use I have. I have a cat, or I have a parrot and a hamster. Simple.
There is an alternative we noted.
There is, yeah. If you want to sound a little more formal, or maybe you're talking about legal responsibility, you can use the verb own.
So I own 2 dogs. It sounds correct, but it feels a little heavier than I have a dog.
It does. Have is definitely the go-to for conversation. It signals more of an emotional connection, I think, while own is more about possession. But, having both options is part of being well-informed.
Okay, so we've got the basics down. Once you confirm you have a pet, the other person immediately wants details. This is where we get into the animal's identity.
And details, as all our source material points out, are what make your English sound natural and interesting. And the first detail is almost always age.
Right. Age is the easiest way in. The phrasing is very direct. My dog is 3 years old. Or, my cat is about 5 years old.
But this is where it can get a little more complex because so many pets these days are adopted, and their age can be a total mystery.
Okay, so if you don't know the exact birthday, we need a common, non-awkward way to say that.
And the phrase you need connects directly to our next vocabulary point. You'd say, I'm not sure how old he is because he's a rescue.
Ah, the word rescue. Let's spend a moment on that. When you tell someone your pet is a rescue, what are you really communicating?
You're conveying a lot. Empathy, responsibility. The fact that you adopted this animal and gave it a new home, maybe from a shelter or a bad situation, it immediately adds this layer of warmth to the conversation.
It's more than just a word then. It's a social signal.
For sure. And you'll hear it used as an adjective too, like he's my rescue dog. It just deepens the conversation right away because it shows you gave this animal a second chance.
That makes total sense. It's a very efficient way to communicate your values. So beyond age and that rescue status, we get to breed talk.
Yep. If you have a pedigree animal, you just state the breed. He's a Labrador or she's a German Shepherd. But of course, so many of the best pets are a mix of things.
And we need a simple, affectionate way to say that.
The standard phrase is he's a mixed breed. But you also hear a more casual, affectionate term, he's a mutt. Both are perfectly fine, and they cover all those wonderful, unique combinations.
Okay, so we've introduced the pet, covered its background. Now for the fun part, the real conversational workout. We're talking about its character. This is where you get to master descriptive language.
And what's fascinating here is that the sources all show we use the exact same adjectives for pets that we use for people. So your existing vocabulary transfers over seamlessly.
So we should move past just simple definitions and think about how these words are actually used. Let's start with a basic one we identified: friendly.
Right. So instead of just saying your dog is friendly, you might say, he's incredibly friendly. He tries to greet everyone we meet on our walks. You give an example,
And then you have playful.
often described with more color. Something like, she's just a bundle of energy, always ready to play fetch.
And on the other end of the spectrum, you have the lazy one. But I feel like people never just say, my dog is lazy. It's always more affectionate.
That's the nuance, exactly. You might say, he's not lazy, he's just deeply committed to his creature comforts. Or something like, he's embracing the retired life.
Right.
Other key adjectives here are energetic, affectionate, protective, shy, or independent.
But the real jump from beginner to intermediate isn't just listing these words, is it? It's about combining them to paint a more complex picture.
That's the key. You can link similar traits with and, which is easy enough. My cat is extremely affectionate and always wants to sit on my lap. But the real power move is using contrast.
You mean using the word but. That seems useful, but doesn't it risk sounding a little negative?
That's a great question, and it's why the sources highlight it.
Mm-hmm.
Nuance is the hallmark of sophisticated natural speech. When you use but, you're not criticizing, you're just adding depth.
Can you give me an example?
Sure, you could say, my dog is very protective, but he warms up quickly once he knows you. Or she's incredibly affectionate, but also fiercely independent.
I see. So that but shows the pet has a multifaceted personality. It's like a real character. It tells a much richer story and makes the conversation more engaging.
Exactly. It shows you understand complexity, and that's a huge step up in your conversational skill.
Okay, we've covered personality. Now let's move from character to routine. This is where we get to practice the nuts and bolts of the present simple tense, talking about regular daily actions.
And this topic is just a golden opportunity for that grammar point. You're detailing what you do when you do it. The conversation has to be specific.
Let's start with feeding and general care. What kind of language should you be ready with?
You should know your specific timing. I feed my dog twice a day, once in the morning and once when I get home. Or, for a cat owner, I clean the litter box every single day. Or, I have to brush my cat once a week to deal with all the shedding.
For dog owners, of course, the whole routine revolves around exercise.
Right, and you need to be able to talk about that commitment. You could say, I walk my dog every morning at 7, even when it's raining. Or, I usually take him to the park for a long run in the evening to burn off all that energy. See how the routine ties back to the personality?
It does, yeah. And then, inevitably, every pet owner has to talk about the vet.
A very practical conversation point. Should be able to talk about preventative care. We take her to the vet once a year for a checkup.
And what if your pet makes it difficult?
You can talk about their behavior. He absolutely hates going to the vet. We basically have to drag him there, but, it's necessary.
Let's shift to training. This is a great way to practice the present continuous tense, right? What you're currently doing.
For sure. You can talk about ongoing efforts. I'm training my new puppy to sit and stay right now. You can also discuss challenges, and this is where you can show change over time with a fantastic intermediate phrase.
Which is at first.
Yes, it signals progress. For instance, training was really hard at first. She was so stubborn, but it's getting much better now. That little phrase, at first, it gives the story some history. It shows you're persevering.
Speaking of difficulties, pet ownership is full of challenges, and talking about them makes your English sound so natural and relatable.
Absolutely. You want to move beyond simple complaints like, my dog is noisy, and use more structured language.
So instead of just listing problems, we frame them differently.
Exactly. You use more formal-sounding nouns like challenge or hurdle. For example, he sheds a lot of hair, which is one of the main hurdles in keeping the house clean. Or, one major challenge is finding someone to watch him when we travel.
Or talking about behavioral issues that are a work in progress.
Yeah, you can use the phrase still working on. She gets really anxious when I leave the house, so I'm still working on her separation behavior. It shows this is an ongoing effort, and it gives the listener a much clearer picture.
That's a perfect transition into the final stage of the conversation, where we shift from the practical stuff to the profound, the emotional core of pet ownership. This is where your English can become really powerful.
The sources all highlight this. The language people use is so strong and personal because pets really are family members. And using that language sounds authentic.
We're talking about explicit family language.
Oh, yeah. You'll often hear, my pet is like family to me, or he's not just a cat, he's part of the family.
Mm.
And you can talk about the benefits they provide you.
What are some examples of that?
Things like, he helps me de-stress after a long day, or she keeps me company and makes me feel less lonely.
And for those even deeper emotional expressions, the phrases get really lovely and idiomatic. We should give our listeners those high-impact phrases.
You definitely need expressions like, she's my best companion, or the wonderful phrase, he brings so much joy into my life.
And the ultimate one.
The ultimate expression of attachment, which is completely natural to say in English, is, I honestly can't imagine my life without her. That just shows a total command of emotional vocabulary.
And this emotional depth also creates a great chance to practice the past simple tense by talking about previous pets. When you do that, you're adding personal history and real warmth to the conversation.
And you use very simple structures. I had a dog when I was a child, a little terrier named Max, or we had a cat when I was growing up.
But sadly, sometimes that conversation requires very gentle language if a pet is no longer with us. We need a way to talk about that respectfully.
Sensitivity is so important here. The most gentle and common way to say a pet passed away is to use the phrase, we lost our dog a few years ago.
It's softer.
It's much softer. It acknowledges the loss without sounding clinical. It's much warmer than just saying, my dog died. You'd say, we lost him.
And when you look back on those relationships, you can connect them to what the animal taught you. That gives the conversation real weight.
Exactly. You can finish a story with a reflection. My first pet truly taught me a responsibility. Or having a pet as a team taught me how to put someone else's needs before my own. It elevates the whole discussion.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? We started with the simplest question. Do you have any pets? And from there, we've built this complex, really versatile conversational framework. This deep dive has armed you with a full toolkit.
And if you can comfortably navigate these 4 key conversational questions using the advanced phrases we've covered, you are going to succeed in pretty much any pet conversation.
First, do you have any pets? And you now know to use that vital right now phrase if you don't.
Second, what kind of pet do you have and what is she like? Which is your cue to use contrastive words like but and descriptive idioms like bundle of energy.
Third, what's the best thing about having a pet? Which lets you use that rich, strong, emotional language like companion and part of the family.
And finally, what's the most difficult part? Which is where you use those structured phrases to talk about challenges and things you are still working on.
This deep dive really shows that talking about pets is anything but frivolous. It's a brilliant training ground for your English. It lets you practice technical grammar, like the present simple for routines, and at the same time use advanced emotional vocabulary for profound life experiences.
The source material really reveals that this topic is so effective because it connects the mundane with the meaningful. So here is a provocative thought for you to take away. What other common, everyday topic is just as rich for practicing both the practical grammar of a daily routine and the deep emotional connection of advanced adjectives and idioms?
Think about that conversational structure, apply it to other areas of your life, and go make some new friends. That's all for this deep dive.